Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
This isn't your average neighborhood story, and trust me, it's unlike any you've heard. What began as comfortable friendships in a quiet suburban town soon blurred into an emotional storm. This is the tale of two families, a resort getaway, a single night that reshaped their lives forever, and the hidden consequences that followed. How far would these four people go when raw desire clashed with crushing guilt? What future awaited them after everything changed? Stick with me as we step into their quiet streets, where nothing is as it seems. At 35, I thought I had life all figured out until this move shook everything up. I'm Ryan, and my wife Sophia, 34, just oozes this poised, magnetic presence that always turns heads. Our neighbors, Jake, 36, is the kind of guy who cracks dad jokes that even Ethan rolls his eyes at, always lightening the mood with his quick wit. His wife, Andy, 40, carries a confidence and warmth that make her seem timeless, drawing me in ways I couldn't explain. Her soothing voice and kind, inviting eyes have a way of making anyone feel completely at ease. Their 8-year-old son, Ethan, is always zooming around with a superhero cape, lighting up the house with his giggles. We moved into this newly built suburban community around the same time, both of us a little nervous about starting fresh. But through shared errands like grocery runs and casual backyard cookouts, we've grown close as families without even realizing how fast it happened. It started subtly, in the everyday rhythm of suburban life. I'd find myself lingering a little longer when Andy and I were chatting while the kids played. Her laugh, a warm, melodic sound, would echo in my mind long after she was gone. I noticed the way she'd tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear, revealing the graceful curve of her neck, and my gaze would linger, a quiet shock running through me. Sophia possesses a sharp, almost chiseled beauty, but Andy's fuller figure and the comforting, almost maternal aura she carries pulled me in a completely different direction. Her tender smile, the fleeting moments of vulnerability in her expressions, like the subtle way her brow would furrow when she was deep in thought, or the gentle curve of her neck when she brushed her hair aside, they all struck me as incredibly poignant. Perhaps it was the way she comforted Ethan after a fall, her tenderness reminding me of a softness, a quiet understanding that I hadn't felt in years, something Sophia's often direct and logical nature couldn't quite offer. One afternoon, while the kids were at school, Andy and I ended up doing a grocery run together. As we reached for the same box of cereal, our hands brushed. It was just for a second, but a jolt went through me, unexpected and undeniable. She pulled her hand back quickly, a faint blush on her cheeks, and I felt a nervous thrill. Later that week, Jake and Sophia were coordinating a playdate, and I overheard Sophia laughing louder than usual at one of Jake's dad jokes. There was a genuine spark in her eyes I hadn't seen in a while, a playful glint that hinted at something deeper. It was clear Jake had a way of making her light up, a different kind of energy than what she had with me. I knew this wasn't just some passing attraction. Every time she laughs, my chest tightens. When she's near, my hands twitch restlessly. Her eyes, warm yet hinting at a hidden depth of passion, kept drawing me in, tempting me endlessly. By the way, how about we all plan a resort trip together soon? Sophia's been eager to get away for a while, I suggested, glancing at Jake. That sounds great. Andy loves a good resort escape, so I'm sure she'll be thrilled. Jake replied with an enthusiastic nod. He took a sip of his beer, pausing briefly. His gaze flickered for a moment before he lowered his voice, a playful smirk tugging at his lips. Man, Sophia's got this vibe. Her grace, that smile, it just pulls you in. His words hit me like a punch. My grip tightened on the beer can, but a twisted excitement buzzed in my chest at the thought of opening up about Andy. After a brief hesitation, I decided to lay it bare. To be straight with you, I've been thinking about Andy a lot too. Her mature charm, those warm eyes, they keep lingering in my thoughts. Jake's eyes lit up, a knowing smile spreading across his face. Interesting. Maybe this resort trip will bring a dangerous spark, like the resort was a powder keg waiting for us. As our gazes locked, a surge of restless expectation coiled tight in my gut. On the morning of our resort trip, I couldn't help but notice an odd tension in Jake's family. With a puzzled frown, I asked, "Is everything all right? What's going on?" Ethan tilted his head with a guileless look and said, "Mom and Dad argued last night." He mumbled something about Dad's late nights, but Andy quickly hushed him. She bowed her head slightly, an apologetic expression on her face as she rubbed her hands together and spoke in a gentle tone. "Sorry about that. It's nothing big, really." Her eyes betrayed a shadow of hurt and quiet apology. I offered a reassuring smile and nodded. "No worries at all. It's been ages since we've had a getaway, so let's make the most of it." I wanted to ask more, but the flicker of pain in her eyes told me to let it go, for now. Yet, a subtle undercurrent of strain lingered in the car. The hum of the engine and the faint scent of pine air freshener couldn't mask the weight hanging between us. Sophia turned up the radio, cracking a joke about my terrible singing to break the silence, but it fell flat. Andy, seated in the back, occasionally let out a quiet sigh, her gaze lost out the window. While driving, I couldn't resist sneaking glances at Andy through the rearview mirror. I worried Sophia might notice, but I couldn't pull my eyes away. Her profile, shadowed by a hint of worry and so unlike her usual cheerful self, made her seem untouchable, like a puzzle I ached to solve. Her slightly tightened lips and the pensive depth in her eyes gave her a melancholic air, and I felt a deep need to break through her quiet pain. After a long drive, we finally pulled into the resort, the sprawling lodge and pine trees a welcome sight. Upon arriving, we discovered there was a family-friendly spa session scheduled. Ethan clapped his hands with glee and dashed ahead, exclaiming, "Can we all splash in the spa? It's going to be so cool." We adults exchanged hesitant smiles and cautious glances. Sophia forced a smile, Jake rubbed his neck awkwardly, and Andy avoided eye contact, her fingers fidgeting. None of us could say no to Ethan's boundless excitement that tugged at us all. As I changed in the locker room, my hands shook and my heart slammed against my chest like it was trying to break free. The tiled locker room echoed with distant chatter, the air thick with chlorine and nervous energy. I tried to calm my breathing, but my mind was consumed with thoughts of seeing her up close. I gripped the locker door, wrestling with the thought of Sophia just steps away, but the pull toward Andy drowned out everything else. The mere idea of being near Andy's bare skin sent a jolt of raw energy surging through me. Picturing her form, I struggled to compose myself, but anticipation left my body rigid with tension. The instant I caught a fleeting glimpse of Andy's skin through the swirling steam of the spa, my heart hammered against my ribs like a drum. Even with a towel draped over her, the gentle, seductive curves of her body threw my thoughts into chaos, like I'd forgotten how to breathe. Her figure was a perfect harmony that stopped me cold, with the delicate arc of her waist and the subtle contour of her full chest holding my gaze captive. As her damp towel shifted slightly, revealing the smooth line of her shoulder and the glistening droplets on her skin, I swallowed hard, fighting to look away, but my eyes refused to obey. I told myself it was just a glance, nothing more, but the pull was undeniable. I knew this was wrong, with Sophia right beside me, yet a searing urge surged from deep within, impossible to tame. As I stole fleeting glances, struggling to steady my ragged breath, a sharp thrill raced down my spine, impossible to ignore. Stepping into the spa, I glimpsed Andy's silhouette through the mist. Though a towel shielded her, the voluptuous lines of her body were unmistakable. Her curves seemed even softer under the water's shimmer, and the sight of the wet towel clinging to her skin was a pull so strong it stole the air from my lungs. I fought to keep my composure, casting occasional glances her way. It seemed she was looking at me too, her eyes flickering with something. Uncertainty, maybe desire, and it sent a jolt through me. Each time our eyes met, my heart skipped a beat. There was an undeniable intensity in her gaze, a a look that seemed to pierce straight through me. At the same time, I caught Jake's eyes lingering on Sophia. Watching him take in my wife's slender waist and long legs as if seeing them anew, my fists clenched under the water, a bitter sting blooming in my chest as I saw his gaze linger on her. Yet, it only fueled my longing for Andy even more. Jealousy, exhilaration, guilt, and eager anticipation tangled together, leaving me in a haze of conflicting emotions. Throughout the resort, whether by the pool, at the restaurant, or during a leisurely walk through the grounds, unspoken conversations unfolded through secret glances. I'd catch Andy's eye from across the dining room, a silent acknowledgement passing between us, charged with the anticipation of what might happen. Jake, too, would find his gaze drawn to Sophia, noticing the elegant way she held herself, the subtle curve of her smile, and he'd offer a knowing, almost conspiratorial grin that made her blush. These subtle exchanges added layers of unspoken desire and intrigue to every shared moment. During a sunset stroll on the beach, Sophia and Jake found themselves falling into an easy, playful rhythm, their laughter echoing against the waves. Jake's arm casually brushed against Sophia's back, a tender gesture that felt natural and comforting to her. Meanwhile, a few steps ahead, I walked with Andy in a more subdued silence. While I tried to engage Andy, her responses were often brief, her gaze distant, fixed on the horizon, hinting at the unspoken weight between us and the growing tension of our desires. The stark contrast in their interactions underscored the underlying currents pulling them apart and towards others. That night, after Ethan had drifted off to sleep, we gathered in our room with drinks in hand. Sophia smiled softly and said, "That spa was amazing. It's been forever since we've done something like that as a group, so I felt a little shy." Andy lifted her glass, her voice warm as she replied, "I felt the same, but there was something freeing about it. Being in the water seemed to wash away all my stress." As the drinks flowed, our conversation grew bolder and more unguarded. "Look, I know this sounds crazy," I began, my voice tight with nerves, catching Jake's eye, "but what if we explored something new, just for tonight?" The room's atmosphere snapped taut. Sophia and Andy's faces flushed crimson, their eyes wide. Sophia inhaled sharply, her hand trembling as she slowly set her glass down. She stared at me, stunned, her voice barely a whisper. "Ryan, what? What are you seriously suggesting?" Her voice was a strained whisper, laced with a mix of shock and a flicker of something raw, almost vulnerable. "This is insane. We're married, both of us." Andy, meanwhile, picked at a loose thread on her sweater, her gaze fixed on the table, but I could see the tremor in her hands. There was a palpable tension in the room, thick enough to cut with a knife. "I know it sounds like a lot," I continued, pushing past my own pounding heart. "And if there's any discomfort, we stop right now, no questions asked. But isn't there something we all sometimes wonder about? About paths not taken, connections that spark even when they shouldn't? This could be a safe space to explore that, just for tonight. A secret among us that allows us to truly be unfiltered." Jake's gaze was steady, almost calming, as he added, "It's a chance to truly understand what we want, what we might be missing, in a way we never could otherwise. Just for this one night, a complete reset of expectations." The silence that followed was agonizing, stretched thin, filled with the unspoken thoughts of four people teetering on a precipice. Sophia swallowed hard, her eyes finally meeting Jake's, a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, fear, curiosity, and almost desperate longing, swirling in their depths. I I honestly don't know how I feel about this. My mind is screaming no, but my body, it's like I'm already halfway there." Andy finally looked up, her gaze finding mine, her voice barely a murmur. "I feel it too. It's terrifying. But part of me, the part one usually ignore, it's screaming yes." Seeing their blend of hesitation and intrigue, Jake and I slowly moved closer. Sophia's shoulders tensed, her laugh hiding something fragile. I looked at Andy and asked gently, "Are you sure you're okay with this?" Her voice trembled as she replied, Don't feel pressured. But I want to be with you, Ryan. Meanwhile, Sophia stood before Jake, her cheeks flushed. Jake spoke tenderly to her. This is all new. If you're not okay with it, Sophia, we'll stop right away. Your comfort comes first. We dimmed the lights and eased into the moment, a mix of bashfulness and raw excitement guiding us. It felt awkward at first, but soon a natural rhythm emerged. When my hand brushed Andy's shoulder, her skin felt electrifying under my fingers. It was silky and warm, and each light graze made her body quiver faintly. Gazing into her eyes, I whispered, Andy, you're absolutely stunning. Your skin, your gaze, every part of you drives me wild. Tears shimmered in her eyes at my words. She offered a faint smile and said, It's been so long since I've heard something like that. Thank you, truly. I gently drew her into my arms. The moment her soft frame pressed against me, a powerful, unfamiliar wave of sensation crashed over me. Her warmth and breath against my skin sent a pulse racing through my veins. Each time her curves melded into mine, an untamed desire roared to life. Holding her close, I was utterly consumed by the rhythm of her breathing, though the thought of Sophia nearby sent a pang of guilt through me. I wrestled with the betrayal, but her nearness drowned out the noise in my head, pulling me under. Even amid that inner struggle, an overwhelming pleasure enveloped me entirely. I pressed my lips to the delicate curve of her neck, inhaling her intoxicating scent, a sweet, subtle fragrance that pulled me deeper. Each kiss drew soft, barely audible moans from her lips. My arms encircled her waist, pulling her tighter, and a spark of electricity ignited as her full chest pressed against mine. Her breathing quickened, a ragged rhythm against my ear, and her hands gripped my back, urging me closer with a primal need. I murmured into her ear, Andy, the way you respond, it's pushing me over the edge. She gasped, her voice breathless, Ryan, I want to feel even more. We grew daring, exploring each other's warmth with unrestrained curiosity, driven by an insatiable hunger. Her skin was feverish and velvety, and every reaction to my touch, every soft shiver, every deep sigh, sent my pulse soaring. Her breaths turned ragged, her moans growing louder, echoing in the charged air, a symphony of escalating passion. I moved with her, savoring every intimate curve, every yielding response. My body was taut, vibrating with the raw anticipation of becoming truly one. At last, we surrendered fully to each other. A shattering release consumed us both. Her body quivered fiercely in my embrace, her heated breath grazing my ear. Her moans intensified, raw and unrestrained. I held her tightly, losing myself completely in that moment. Unparalleled bliss overwhelmed me, sending a searing current through every nerve. As her trembling slowly subsided in my arms, I kissed her forehead, feeling the steady rhythm of her calming breath. Her eyes still burned with intensity, a profound satisfaction glowing within them, a shared secret forever etched. Nearby, Sophia had given herself over to Jake. Seeing my wife in such a moment stirred a storm of emotions within me. Caught between jealousy and a strange thrill, I overheard Jake whisper to Sophia, Sophia, you're breathtaking. Your body, your grace, everything about you is flawless. Sophia's voice wavered as she replied, I feel so exposed. It's overwhelming, but it feels incredible. Sophia's hesitant touch on Jake's arm spoke of her own battle, a mix of fear and longing I recognized too well. Andy's skin, still warm from the spa, quivered under my touch. Each brush of my hand drew a soft sigh from her lips. Drawn deeper by her reactions, I asked, Are you all right? She steadied her breath and whispered, Yes. But my heart's pounding so hard, come closer. We took our time, discovering each other with care. At 40, Andy was magnetic, her mature essence and deep emotional resonance striking me as both novel and profound. Meanwhile, Sophia's voice drifted over. Jake, you're so gentle. It's been ages since I've felt this way. Watching my wife being cherished by another man left me grappling with a tangle of feelings. Yet, Being with Andy felt uniquely profound in its own right. I met her gaze and asked, "Is this really okay? My mind's a mess right now." Andy gave a tender smile and said, "Just for tonight, let's not overthink it. Let's just live in this moment." Tears glistened in her eyes, whether from sorrow or emotion. I couldn't discern, but the raw beauty in her gaze held me captive. Her eyes ensnared me completely, and I pulled her closer, yearning to feel every part of her. Time seemed to slow as it passed. The four of us were confronting hidden facets of ourselves we'd never explored before. New sensations, unfamiliar emotions, and unexpected bonds were taking shape. Andy whispered in my ear, "Ryan, thank you for giving me this unforgettable moment." I looked at her, my voice filled with sincerity. "I'm the one who's thankful for this incredible night. You're truly one of a kind." As the night deepened, so did the connections between us. With our partners sharing intimate breaths just beside us, this forbidden evening slipped quietly into memory. The next morning, we shared breakfast as if nothing had changed. Yet, the way our glances intertwined was undeniably different from before. Each time my eyes met Andy's, the vivid memory of that night flared in her gaze, sending a tight knot of memory twisting in my chest. After breakfast, we lingered in silence for a moment, each of us lost in thought. Sophia's forced cheer, Jake's quiet nod, Andy's hand lingering on her coffee mug with a tremor I couldn't unsee, and my own racing mind wrestling with what we'd done. On the drive home, Ethan bubbled with excitement about the resort, while we adults sat wrapped in a heavy, thoughtful silence. In the days that followed, Sophia and I delved into deep conversations about us. She asked quietly, "Do you regret what happened that night?" I paused, reflecting, before answering. "I can't say I regret it, not entirely, but it's tearing me up inside, pulling me in so many directions. The guilt is real, a constant ache." "You." She offered a faint, almost wistful smile and said, "I felt alive, truly seen as a woman, with Jake. It's been so long since I've experienced that kind of raw attention, that sense of being desired in a way that wasn't just routine. It exposed something I didn't realize was missing." I nodded, adding, "Being with Andy, it unlocked feelings I'd never known existed within me." Every part of her pulled me in, showed me a different side of desire. It's like that night ripped off a Band-Aid, forcing us to confront unspoken truths about ourselves and our marriages. We're closer now, yes, but it's a terrifying kind of closeness, built on something we can never truly speak of. In the aftermath, our dynamic with Jake's family shifted in subtle ways. On the surface, we carried on as usual, but a stray look or a seemingly mundane exchange would often summon memories of that night. At the next barbecue, as we cheered on the local baseball team's game playing on a portable radio, Andy's smile faltered when our eyes met, a shared secret weighing heavy. Especially when Andy and I locked eyes, something stirred deep within me. I could sense a unique emotion in her gaze toward me as well. Each time she smiled, the fiery intensity of that night resurfaced, setting my heart aflutter once again. One evening, Jake invited me out for a drink, just the two of us. Holding his glass with a serious look, he said, "Things have changed with Andy since that night." Curious, I asked, "How so?" He sighed softly and explained, "We've become more attuned to each other. Our conversations have deepened, and we're more honest about our emotions." "How about you and Sophia?" I stared at my glass and replied, "We felt a shift too. It's odd. There's some guilt, but as a couple, it feels like we've grown closer somehow." Jake nodded in agreement. "I get that. That one night seems to have injected a new kind of spark and depth into our marriages." Months later, we learned Sophia was pregnant. With a gentle, almost tentative smile, she said, "It might be from after that resort trip." I smiled back, replying, "Could be." When she shared the news, a wave of profound joy mixed with a deep, unsettling unease washed over me. The stark uncertainty of whose child it truly might be lingered in my thoughts like a persistent shadow, a question mark hanging over our future. But seeing her genuine smile, I resolved to embrace whatever came, to face this new reality together. We both recalled that night, the swirling emotions, the choices made. Whether this child was biologically mine or not, we silently committed to raising it with every ounce of love we possessed, a profound, albeit complicated, vow. I noticed Andy seemed to be experiencing subtle physical changes recently too, a tremor of possibility sending a wave of dread and lingering desire through me. Memories of that unforgettable night with her flooded back, and I felt a strange, unsettling preparedness to accept whatever outcome awaited us all. With the promise of new life ahead, the bond between the four of us entered a new, uncharted chapter. As confidants sharing a profound secret, and as neighbors tied by an extraordinary, unspoken connection, we moved forward together, navigating the complexities day by day. The memory of that night left an indelible mark on us all, a shared history that seemed destined to keep us linked in the years to come, a silent, powerful thread that would forever bind our families. As we stood on our porch, watching Ethan play, our silent smiles carried the lingering, forbidden heat of that night and the fragile, complicated hope of a future we'd have to navigate, forever torn yet irrevocably tied together, wondering what secrets the next chapter would unveil.